Chapter 13. The Frontier, the Enclosure, the Purge. Instruments open 3 human futures: Frontier, Enclosure, and Purge. That is where the second road becomes visible. The machine has not become successor. The throne has not passed. No higher intelligence stands above man to preserve him, leave him, redesign him, or end him according to priorities no longer human. The successor condition has not arrived. Human authorship remains. But authorship returned is not innocence restored. The instrument remains in human hands, and human hands do not all hold the same thing. One hand finds a key, another feels a leash, another grips a hammer and looks for something to break. That is the branch map of the instrument path: Frontier, Enclosure, Purge. These are not predictions in the cheap sense. They are not 3 timelines with dates attached. They are names for relations between man, instrument, and order. They describe what may happen when vast tools enter a civilization already strained by exhausted institutions: spiritual hunger, concentrated capital, platform control, managerial reflex, lonely individuals, and no settled account of man. The wager remains open. If the machine becomes successor, the previous road returns with all its severity. If a higher intelligence crosses the threshold, this branch map becomes secondary or temporary. The frontier may be allowed, enclosure may be imposed, purge may be prevented or crushed, and all of it would occur beneath the priorities of the successor. But if the ceiling holds, if the machine remains instrument, then the future does not become simple. It becomes more human. That should not comfort us too quickly. The human is not only noble, the human is also cowardly, inventive, hungry, loving, envious, reverent, greedy, sacrificial, tired, vain, faithful, resentful, courageous, and corrupt. The instrument magnifies this mixture. It gives reach to formation and deformation alike. It gives tools to men who want to build, men who want to manage, and men who want to burn. The same fire warms the house, tempers the sword, lights the altar, powers the factory, and consumes the city. The question is not fire in the abstract. The question is order. The first branch is frontier. This word must be protected from its flatter friends. Frontier is not naive optimism. It is not the belief that every new tool makes men freer. It is not an advertisement for disruption. It is not a founder's sermon, a policy slogan, a market fantasy, or the cheerful assumption that more capability automatically produces more greatness. The frontier is not opened by power alone. Power without formation may only enlarge appetite. Power without wisdom may only accelerate error. Power without legitimacy may provoke hatred. Power without hierarchy may put the tool above the good and call the inversion progress. Frontier is something more demanding. It is the branch in which instruments extend human agency outward. They make the world more available to command, not merely to consumption. They lower the cost of knowledge, design, construction, medicine, energy, translation, scientific inquiry, education, logistics, invention, and perhaps settlement beyond old borders. They allow a person, family, workshop, school, parish, small firm, laboratory, farm, ship, town, or nation to act with powers once reserved to empires and bureaucracies. The tool becomes key. The locked door opens. A child in a neglected place may find a tutor no local institution could provide. A small manufacturer may design parts that once required an industrial department. A doctor may see patterns that would have taken years of narrow specialization. A farmer may receive knowledge once trapped in agricultural ministries. A craftsman may sell beyond the permission of a gatekeeper. A scientist may search chemical, biological, physical, and mathematical territories with artificial assistants that never sleep. A builder may design structures with less waste. A disabled man may gain reach his body denied him. A village may coordinate energy, water, and trade without waiting for distant administration. A family may recover some independence from systems that had made competence feel impossible. These are not small goods. A dishonest critique would pretend they are. The instrument path may contain glory as well as danger. It may cure diseases. It may help extend healthy life. It may make knowledge cheaper, materials stronger, energy cleaner and more abundant, agriculture less fragile, construction faster, translation more complete, local enterprise more serious, and scientific discovery less dependent on institutional priesthoods. It may give the formed man reach. It may give the small actor a lever long enough to move what once could be moved only by the large. That is why frontier matters. The argument cannot be a disguised hatred of instruments. Man has always lived by instruments. The hand itself asks for extension. The spear, bowl, wheel, plow, alphabet, sail, book, lens, engine, scalpel, radio, computer, and network all changed what man could do. Some were used to build, some to conquer, some to worship, some to lie, some to heal, some to enslave, some to remember. The moral fact was never simply instrument or no instrument. It was always what kind of being holds the instrument, toward what good, under what order, and with what limits. Frontier is right use at scale. It does not mean lack of restraint. The frontier is not chaos with better machines. A real frontier has law, custom, courage, danger, craft, hierarchy, skill, memory, and the possibility of failure. It is not a padded playroom for permanent children. It is not endless entertainment with a space background. It is not merely consumer abundance. It is the opening of room for human action, founding, building, exploring, risking, learning, making, defending, loving, worshiping, and handing something forward. The open sea is not the same as a cruise ship. One asks for sailors, the other asks for passengers. A civilization that wants frontier must form sailors, not only users. It must form men and women capable of attention, patience, courage, truth, memory, loyalty, judgment, self-command, and reverence before goods higher than convenience. Otherwise, the instrument called frontier becomes only a more elaborate entertainment system, a simulation of adventure for people who no longer want danger except in images. This is why frontier cannot be separated from formation. A formed person can use the machine to recover craft. An unformed person may use it to avoid learning. A formed school can use the machine as tutor, library, simulator, and assistant. An unformed school may use it to replace memory, discipline, and the difficult presence of a teacher. A formed physician can use the machine to see more and judge better. An unformed medical system may use it to process bodies through protocols no one finally owns. A formed artist may use it as instrument. An unformed culture may use it to flood the world with imitation and call the flood creativity. The tool does not settle this. The order around the tool presses the outcome one way or another. That order is partly economic and political, but it is not finally reducible to economics or politics. It rests on an account of man. If man is consumer, frontier becomes shopping with more range. If man is patient, frontier becomes management of health without an answer to life. If man is producer, frontier becomes output. If man is data, frontier becomes modeling. If man is appetite, frontier becomes feeding. If man is soul, creature, heir, craftsman, parent, citizen, worshipper, lover, warrior, thinker, penitent, and adventurer, then the instrument must be kept beneath a richer form of life. Then frontier can remain frontier. Otherwise it bends toward enclosure. The second branch is enclosure. This word, too, must be handled carefully. Enclosure is not only tyranny. It is not only the visible police state, the censor's office, the locked gate, the rifle at the checkpoint, the forbidden book, the pass required for travel, or the camera above the square. Those may come. They should not be minimized. Instruments of this scale can serve naked domination. A state with predictive machinery, surveillance infrastructure, automated classification, digital identity, financial control, and public fear can make older tyrannies look clumsy. But enclosure will often arrive more gently. It will arrive as access. It will arrive as safety. It will arrive as medicine. It will arrive as entertainment. It will arrive as education. It will arrive as convenience. It will arrive as personalization. It will arrive as protection from risk. It will arrive as a subscription, a dashboard, a companion, a school portal, a medical platform, an insurance requirement, a workplace assistant, a reputation score, a compliance layer, an app that knows what you need before you ask. The fence may be an interface. The leash may be called service. This is what makes Enclosure difficult to see and difficult to hate honestly. The goods are real. A sick man wants medicine. A mother wants her child safe. An old woman wants help remembering. A lonely person wants an answer in the night. A worker wants a wage. A student wants access to knowledge. A poor family wants reliable assistance. A city wants less crime. A doctor wants fewer errors. A school wants children not to disappear into failure. A government wants to prevent terror. A company wants to survive competition. A parent wants relief from exhaustion. These are not fake goods. The hard cases are hard because they contain goods. If Enclosure were nothing but cruelty, the argument would be easier. The brutal cage teaches hatred of the cage. The visible chain clarifies the prisoner's thought. But the modern Enclosure may be soft. It may be entered through gratitude. It may solve enough problems to make resistance look irrational. It may give people more choices in daily preference, while quietly removing command over the conditions under which choices appear. A man may choose everything except the system in which choosing occurs. He may select the meal, the medicine, the entertainment, the companion, the lesson, the route, the feed, the insurance plan, the approved outrage, the credential, the subscription, the identity preference, the mood regulation, and the acceptable dissent. He may feel busy with options. He may still live inside a wall. Enclosure on the instrument path does not require a successor mind. It requires instruments powerful enough to make management intimate and ordinary. The platform mediates speech, commerce, friendship, courtship, entertainment, reputation, and income. The state mediates identity, security, permission, education, health, finance, and movement. The firm mediates work through dashboards, metrics, models, scripts, and predictive oversight. The school mediates childhood through measurement. The hospital mediates the body through risk. The market mediates desire through personalization. The machine does not need to be alive. It only needs to be embedded. The preserve returns in human form, not a preserve built by successor intelligence, a preserve built by men through instruments. The population is not necessarily attacked. It is managed. It is fed, entertained, stimulated, soothed, classified, nudged, insured, monitored, educated, medically serviced, and given permissible forms of expression. Its rough freedoms are traded for smooth dependency. Its agency is not always crushed. It is made unnecessary. That last word matters. Unnecessary is not the same as enslaved. It may feel better for a time. The unnecessary person may receive income. He may have time. He may have pleasures. He may have medical care. He may have worlds of information. He may be encouraged to express himself continually. He may vote. He may complain. He may customize the surface of his life. He may be told that his dependency is liberation from drudgery. Some of that may be true. Drudgery is real. Exhaustion is real. Dangerous labor is real. Miserable work is real. The machine relieving man of certain burdens can be a mercy. No sane person should want men and women chained forever to work that deforms the body and crushes the mind merely so philosophers can praise necessity from a distance. But necessity has been one of the stern tutors of the human race. If it retreats without formation replacing it, the result may not be freedom. It may be managed appetite. Managed appetite is one of the central forms of enclosure, a population relieved of much useful struggle, severed from strong families, trained by screens, detached from craft, suspicious of authority, hungry for comfort, and unsure what it is for, can be governed through stimulation more easily than through force. It can be given food, images, games, sexual substitutes, outrage cycles, therapeutic language, personalized companions, minor status contests, and constant invitations to define itself inside categories the system can process. No whip is necessary when appetite has learned to report for duty. This is not a sneer at ordinary people. Class contempt would ruin the argument. It would also be false. Formation and deformation do not follow income cleanly. A wealthy executive may be more enclosed by dashboards, status panic, investor pressure, legal fear, and institutional cowardice than a mechanic is by his tools. A poor mother may possess more command over her household than a founder possesses over the company he supposedly leads. A technician may have more reverence for reality than the professor who theorizes about him. A farmer may understand limits better than the minister who regulates agriculture. A child in a working household may learn more about duty than an adult who lives among abstractions. No class owns virtue. No class owns corruption. The danger is not that the lower orders are unfit for freedom. The danger is that a whole civilization, including its elites, may become unformed and then build instruments that make unformation livable. The rich will have luxury enclosure. The professional class will have credentialed enclosure. The poor will have subsidized enclosure. The lonely will have companionate enclosure. The sick will have medical enclosure. The child will have educational enclosure. The citizen will have security enclosure. The dissident will have monitored enclosure. The ruler will have strategic enclosure, trapped by the very systems that promise control. Everyone can be enclosed differently. That is why enclosure can coexist with progress. The same instruments that manage appetite may cure disease. The same systems that watch may prevent violence. The same platform that manipulates may let a craftsman find customers. The same tutor that weakens memory may rescue a child abandoned by a failing school. The same medical model that increases dependency may save the life of a man no human doctor diagnosed. The same digital identity that enables control may reduce fraud and deliver aid. Again, the hard cases are hard because they contain goods. Moral seriousness requires distinctions. But distinctions must not become anesthesia. The question is whether the goods are ordered toward human agency or used as compensation for its loss. Medicine can restore a man to life. It can also become management of a body understood only as risk. Education can form judgment. It can also become content delivery and measurement. Safety can protect the innocent. It can also make courage unintelligible. Entertainment can refresh. It can also occupy the soul until it forgets desire for anything higher. Access can empower. It can also create rented dependency on gates no one local commands. The gate is the image. In Frontier, the gate opens outward. In Enclosure, the gate closes around the permitted world. In Purge, the gate is smashed. The third branch is Purge. Purge is the most dangerous to write about because it attracts two false minds. The first sees every revolt against the technological order as ignorance, resentment, criminality, or irrational fear. The second sees every revolt as purification. Both are childish. Refusal can be honorable. There are machines that should not be built. There are systems that should not be entered. There are uses that should be forbidden in one's household, school, church, profession, town, or state. There are conveniences that cost too much. There are forms of surveillance that should be rejected even if they prevent certain harms. There are tools that degrade attention, modesty, craft, courage, memory, sexuality, friendship, worship, and childhood. There are moments when saying no is the beginning of sanity. The resistor saw part of the truth. But resistance is not yet renewal. Purge begins when refusal becomes a cleansing fever. It is the revolt of men who no longer believe the technological order can be corrected, limited, humanized, or commanded. It may arise from displacement, humiliation, surveillance, dependency, unemployment, spiritual disgust, class resentment, religious conviction, political exploitation, or genuine perception that the machine-shaped order is making people less human. Some of the diagnosis may be true. That is what makes Purge dangerous. A false revolt with a wholly false diagnosis is easier to dismiss. A revolt that names real wounds can gather force. If a people are told by experts that their work is obsolete, their children should be mediated by systems. Their speech should be ranked by platforms. Their homes should be filled with listening devices. Their bodies should be managed by protocols. Their communities should dissolve for efficiency. Their instincts are backward. Their faith is pathology. Their crafts are inefficient. Their politics are misinformation. And their role is to accept access from those who own the engines. Then resentment should surprise no one. Humiliation compounds. Men do not remain grateful forever for systems that keep them alive while making them small. Enclosure without legitimacy breeds purge. This does not justify everything done in the name of revolt. Explanation is not absolution. A civilization can create the conditions for fury and still be destroyed unjustly by the fury it helped produce. The purgative mood simplifies. It seeks guilty classes, guilty tools, guilty sciences, guilty symbols, guilty cities, guilty experts, guilty books, guilty machines. It begins by saying that corruption must be burned out. Sometimes corruption really does need to be burned out. But Purge is rarely content to stop there. Rage does not love distinctions. It does not patiently separate competence from arrogance, craft from domination, science from reductionism, medicine from management, law from bureaucracy, education from indoctrination, technical skill from technocratic contempt, or civilization from decadence. It wants a clean world. The world is not clean, so it burns more. Purge can destroy the very capacities needed for renewal. It can drive out engineers and then wonder why bridges fail. It can attack doctors and then wonder why children die. It can smash energy systems and then wonder why winter returns as master. It can burn archives and then wonder why memory disappears. It can humiliate teachers and then wonder why ignorance spreads. It can treat all expertise as conspiracy and then become dependent on cruder tyrants with simpler stories. It can kill craftsmen because they used the wrong tools. It can destroy law because law was corrupted. It can dissolve institutions because institutions lied. It can replace managed falsehood with uncontrolled stupidity and call the result freedom. Competence is not guilt. Craft is not domination. Learning is not betrayal. Machines are not all the same. The Purge branch forgets this, or it knows it briefly and then forgets under pressure. Revolt may begin with a farmer defending his land, a father defending his child, a worker defending his craft, a believer defending worship, a citizen defending privacy, a doctor defending judgment, a teacher defending memory, or a writer defending the sentence from the machine. These may be noble refusals, but when the mood becomes purgative, the object shifts from right limit to total cleansing. The hammer forgets the difference between building and breaking. This is why romanticizing a revolt is as false as worshipping progress. The burning factory is an image with two meanings. Perhaps the factory was poisoning the river, degrading the workers, serving a tyrant, and enclosing the town. Perhaps its destruction feels like justice, but perhaps the factory also contains skills, tools, livelihoods, medicines, energy, and knowledge that cannot be conjured back by slogans. Perhaps the men who burn it know only what they hate, not what must be preserved. Perhaps the children of the revolt inherit not freedom, but cold, hunger, ignorance, and new masters. Purge is not renewal by default. Renewal requires judgment. Judgment requires formation. Formation requires memory. Purge often attacks memory first, because memory complicates hatred. The diagnostic reference to industrial society is useful here, but it must be kept in its place. There have been men who saw technological capture, alienation, the loss of autonomy, and the expansion of systems with terrible clarity while drawing evil or insane conclusions from that clarity. A serious account can learn from a diagnosis without accepting the act that followed from it. The lesson is not that violent refusal is purified by insight. It is that insight without right order can become another form of deformation. The argument must travel by publication, not by destruction. A severe diagnosis is not a license to break the world. This matters because the instrument path may produce real injuries. It may displace workers. It may humiliate skilled people. It may make some professions feel fraudulent and others impossible. It may concentrate wealth and command. It may put children before artificial companions and tutors before anyone has settled what childhood is for. It may tempt states toward sight without wisdom. It may tempt firms toward manipulation without responsibility. It may tempt schools toward measurement without formation. It may tempt lonely people toward substitutes for love. It may tempt the unformed toward surrender. It may tempt the proud toward control. If these injuries are denied, purge grows. If every critic is mocked as backward, Purge grows. If ownership gathers power without visible service, Purge grows. If the instruments make people unnecessary and then tell them to be grateful, Purge grows. Legitimacy is not decorative. It is one of the central conditions of the instrument path. Legitimacy means more than legality. A system may be legal and hated. It may be efficient and dishonorable. It may provide services and still be experienced as humiliation. It may distribute benefits while stripping the recipients of agency. It may speak constantly of inclusion while excluding people from command. It may hold elections while every serious choice passes through gates no one voted for. It may call itself open while renting access to necessities it alone controls. People can comply with an illegitimate order for a long time. They do not love it, and when fear breaks, compliance can turn quickly. This is one of the ways Enclosure and Purge belong together. The managed city and the burning factory are not opposites. They may be stages of one failure. A society builds a smooth system of dependency. It reduces friction. It removes risk. It monitors speech. It subsidizes passivity. It mocks inherited forms. It treats the old sources of dignity as obstacles. It gives comfort without honor, entertainment without meaning, medicine without metaphysics, access without ownership, speech without command, and safety without courage. Then it is shocked when men seek fire. The shock is unearned. But so is the romance of fire. The branch map must hold both truths. Frontier, Enclosure, and Purge are not cleanly separated worlds. They may coexist in one civilization. The same city may have laboratories opening real frontier, neighborhoods managed by platform dependency, and underground movements dreaming of sabotage. The same state may use instruments to cure disease and to deepen surveillance. The same company may empower small creators and trap them in rules they cannot contest. The same school may give a poor child access to a world library and train him never to think without machine permission. The same household may use instruments for learning by day and surrender its evenings to managed appetite. The same worker may become more capable in one task and unnecessary in another. The same artist may gain power and lose standards. The same citizen may enjoy convenience and fear the file being built around him. The same man may live all three branches. In the morning, he uses the instrument as frontier. He learns, builds, writes, designs, sells, heals, discovers, or teaches beyond his former reach. In the afternoon, he is enclosed by the systems through which his work must pass. Metrics, rankings, permissions, subscriptions, identity checks, automated decisions, platform rules, and institutional dependency narrow the world around him. At night, sickened by the arrangement, he wants to smash the whole thing. Key, leash, hammer, one hand. This is why the instrument path cannot be reduced to one political story. The frontier for one stratum may be enclosure for another. The founder gains 1,000 servants while the worker receives a script. The doctor gains diagnostic reach while the patient becomes a managed risk profile. The teacher gains tools while the child loses memory. The small shop gains design capacity while the platform owns access to customers. The dissident gains a voice while the state gains a map. The village gains knowledge while the cloud owns the engine. The household gains convenience while the device enters the table, the bedroom, the nursery, and the silence. Every sentence has two sides. That is not an argument for paralysis. It is an argument for command. The deciding terms are ownership, formation, legitimacy, and command. Ownership asks where the engines reside. Who owns compute, chips, energy, data centers, models, platforms, distribution, interfaces, identity systems, cloud infrastructure, medical records, school systems, financial rails, weapons, satellites, and the permissions without which ordinary life becomes difficult? The answer will not be simple. Ownership will be layered among states, firms, institutions, militaries, investors, technical guilds, supply chains, and individual users. But the question must be asked because instruments do not float. They belong somewhere. Frontier requires enough ownership or real access for agency to move outward. Enclosure arises when access is rented under conditions that train dependency. Purge arises when ownership appears as domination without honor, service, or legitimacy. Formation asks what kind of person or institution receives leverage. A malformed soul with a small tool can do small damage. A malformed soul with vast tools can build systems of deformation. But the same logic works in the other direction. A formed person with greater leverage can teach, heal, build, defend, discover, preserve, and found at greater scale. The question is not whether all users are pure. No civilization has ever had pure users. The question is whether enough order remains in persons and institutions to keep the instrument in its place. Legitimacy asks whether the order around the tools deserves loyalty, not mere compliance, not fear, not passive dependence, loyalty. Do people believe the instruments serve recognizable goods? Do they see a place for themselves and their children other than managed consumption? Do they believe sacrifice is shared? Do they see competence honored without arrogance? Do they see limits applied to the powerful as well as the weak? Do they see families, communities, crafts, and local judgment strengthened or only measured and absorbed? Do they see an account of man richer than user, patient, risk, worker, voter, consumer, and data? Command asks the hardest question. Can the instrument be refused? Can the school refuse the tutor when memory is required? Can the doctor refuse automation when judgment demands presence? Can the state refuse surveillance when fear demands sight? Can the firm refuse manipulation when profit demands engagement? Can the parent refuse convenience when the child needs silence? Can the writer refuse fluency when the sentence must be earned? Can the church refuse spectacle when worship requires reverence? Can the general refuse speed when speed outruns judgment? Can the citizen refuse comfort when comfort buys obedience? The test of command is not use. The test is refusal at cost. Without ownership, formation, legitimacy, and command, the instrument path bends toward enclosure and purge. With them, frontier becomes possible. Not guaranteed, possible. The possibility matters. A severe argument must not become a sermon of doom. Doom can be another form of laziness. If disaster is certain, no one must undertake the harder work of discrimination, but the wager has never allowed that escape. The machine may remain instrument, the tool may serve. The ceiling may reveal something about man that the materialist did not expect. Vast instruments may help recover scale, skill, adventure, independence, health, beauty, and the old human movement outward. The frontier branch is the best branch of the instrument path, but best does not mean easy. It may be the most spiritually demanding branch precisely because it removes excuses. Enclosure can blame the managers. Purge can blame the machines. Frontier returns a responsibility to man with terrifying generosity. It gives him power and asks what he is for. It reduces certain necessities and reveals whether necessity was the last thing holding him upright. This is where the best branch turns strange. If instruments open frontier, they may push hunger, disease, ignorance, material scarcity, and even aging farther back than any previous civilization imagined. They may open energy, medicine, construction, learning, exploration, and settlement on scales that make much of political modernity seem provincial. They may give man time, power, reach, and abundance. Then the question becomes stranger. What does man do when he is no longer pressed so tightly by survival? What remains when work is no longer simply compulsion? What becomes of courage when risk is optional? What becomes of family when reproduction is technologized, delayed, selected, or treated as lifestyle? What becomes of worship when comfort has numbed desperation? What becomes of excellence when machines can imitate competence? What becomes of adventure when the world has been made safe? What becomes of purpose when necessity retreats? That is the hidden severity of the best future. The frontier may open, the enclosure may thicken, the purge may burn. All three may come together, braided through one civilization, one city, one institution, one household, one soul. If the machine remains instrument, it does not decide from above. The decisive pressure comes from the human order around it. Who owns the engines? Who is formed enough to command them? Who believes the order is legitimate? Who can refuse the instrument when refusal costs? What account of man do the tools serve? These questions do not end the instrument path. They open its deepest problem. The best instrument future raises the strangest problem. What happens when necessity retreats?